but we've got time to make decisions. We move on to 1 p.m. Eastern. The San Francisco 49ers 5-0, 2-0 on the road. The Cleveland Browns 2-2, 2-1 at home at Paycor Stadium, Cincinnati, Ohio. It is raining, heavy showers, 18-mile-per-hour winds, 55 Fahrenheit is the temperature. And let's take a look at the line history here for this one. This has been a heavy move towards San Francisco. This opened up at Pinnacle at -5 at -106. Now it's -5 at -124. It's basically a 6. Get over to the total here for this one. From a total side of things, this is dropping and dropping and dropping. 37.5 now. That's pretty wild. Now, it opened up at 38.5 at Pinnacle, but now it's dropped a full point down to 37.5, and we're getting low to the flow. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. We have 76% of the tickets and 92% of the cash on the under. Then you have 87% of the tickets and 83% of cash on the San Francisco 49ers. And Joe Walsh had a question that Danny Lopez answered about Pete Carroll after a bye. Pete Carroll 4-6 after a bye in Seattle, from what Danny Lopez sees. Sammy Comer looking at San Francisco first quarter, first half. And Joe says, aren't all San Francisco games San Francisco or pass at this point? Yeah, that's a pretty fair thing to say. And Brady says, Walker is starting, it looks like. Says, I will be betting the Browns, but there's no rush here at all. When Walker officially gets announced, we'll get a 7 or 7.5. Then we have the Browns spread and the Niners teaser. And Solutions for Life says exactly San Francisco or pass. Ian Shaber already on San Francisco early at -5. Jared TG on the San Francisco team total over. The 49ers' reign of dominance continues. 42-10 trouncing of the Dallas Cowboys in Santa Clara matched their franchise record with 15 straight regular season wins. Brock Purdy comes in off yet another impressive clean football game. 17-24, 252 yards, 4 touchdowns. 10-0 as a starter in the regular season. Which takes us to the season-old question. Is it Purdy doing this or the players around him? Seems to be very arguable. George Kittle caught 3 passes for 67 yards. Each pass was a TD pass. Became the first Niners player with 3 TD catches in the game since Vernon Davis in 2009. Ayuk caught 4 for 58. Debo caught 3 for 55. Ran 5 times for 30. CMC McCaffrey ran 19 times for 51 yards and yet another TD. 14 straight games he scored a TD in the regular season or playoffs. Only players in history with longer streaks are Lenny Moore at 17, O.J. Simpson at 15, and John Riggins at 15. That's what's happened here with CMC in a 49er uniform. He also caught 2 passes for 27 yards. He did lose a fumble. They went 4-5 in the red zone. They're currently ranked 4th in the league, converting 69.6% of their red zone opportunities, and they get a lot of them. The Niners defense swarmed Dak all night. 4 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, picked them off 3 times, held the Cowboys to 197 total yards, 8 first downs, and 0 trips to the red zone. Left guard, Aaron Banks, biceps, haven't got the update yet. Must not be big because I was on a bunch of different sites. I couldn't get any information. And Randy Gregory, newly signed Randy Gregory, is past his physical. He'll be practicing this week. Browns coming off their bye week. They were last seen getting destroyed 28-3 at home by the Ravens without the services of Deshaun Watson, who was out with a shoulder injury. Dorian Thompson-Robinson struggled in his first career start, 19-36, 121 yards, 3 picks. He didn't have star running back Nick Chubb to rely on. Chubb done for the season. Jerome Ford did not look good, but Pierre Strong looked good. Pierre Strong, 5 carries for 49 yards. Kareem Hunt has struggled in his first 2 games of the year. Get used to it. I just don't think he's got it anymore. He carried the ball 10 times in the 2 games combined for 25 yards. And then don't forget that before Chubb went down, they lost Jack Conklin. Their star offensive lineman blew his knee in the opener. DeJuan Jones has done a pretty nice job replacing him. And Watson stayed in Cleveland, rehabbing his shoulder while everybody else went on some sort of vacation. He stayed. He's yet to practice. They say there's no structural damage to the shoulder. And, last week, before the bye, the Browns expected him to play. I thought he was going to play. He went to the field, on-field workout. He couldn't get any velocity, and he's inactive. But he's medically cleared to play. That's important. Myles Garrett left with the walking boot. He's going to be good to go. Njoku with the burns. He's got burns on his hands and face, but he played with those burns. Left guard Joel Bitonio, ankle injury, and Ethan Pocic, chest and knee. But they were all kept out of practice, rehabbing the injuries. All 4 are expected to be good to go. Take it away here for us, Troy. Niners, Browns.
So I was looking at this line The look ahead before the Niners played Cowboys Monday Night Football. It was sitting at 3, staring at me dead in the face, and I was like, this is going to move. This is going to be well over 3 if the 49ers win tonight. And I thought the 49ers were going to win. But the books give a lot of credit to this Browns team, or initially they did when I was looking at that 3. Absolute statement made to the NFC. Brock Purdy, again, another game with 0 turnover-worthy plays, a 10% big throw rate, or big-time throw rate, which is one of the highest in the NFL at this point. The kid, after we talked about him a little bit, Jimmy, Monday Night Football, I kind of threw some shade on him, and I apologize because this kid's putting up legitimate numbers. They do have this, that they're passing the ball at the lowest rate in the NFL. And that speaks volumes to the run game and how good CMC really is. But this offensive line that he is blocking for Purdy is ranked 27th in pass blocking. And that just tells me that this offensive scheme is extremely solid, and it's hard to penetrate. It's hard to pick holes, and how do you beat it? But it is, like I said, I think it's very important to realize that this is the lowest passing attempts in the NFL. So if the 49ers were ever to fall behind and we had to see him straight drop back and make passes down the field, that's where I don't think we've seen enough of Brock Purdy yet to really understand how good he is. But he might be every bit as good as he's leading on to believe. They smashed the Cowboys, but how good is this Cowboys team? And we'll get to them a little bit later. But this Cowboys team, they play the Giants, the Jets, the Cardinals, and the Pats. That's like the worst group of offenses you could imagine in the NFL. Is that defense as good as they're perceived to be? We had questions about the Cowboys, and I think it's important to address how this game specifically, because this was supposed to be the primetime big best game of the NFL so far year to date, and it just didn't turn out to be. The Cowboys were extremely lackluster, and they definitely took a drop in my rankings. 49ers played 3 straight games. They've covered all of them. The only non-cover was week 2 against LA. And the Browns, I think it just seems like this number moving. I'm just surprised to see it move so fast and so violently. You know what? I take that back because Deshaun Watson might be out of this game. I think that's kind of why the line started to move so aggressively towards the end, as of recently. But I think that this Browns defense is being scoffed at. I don't think that really should be done at this point. Sure, the game against the Ravens put up 28 points, but this Browns team kind of rolled over once they realized DTR was their quarterback and he was trash. The 28 points was more of a result of field position than it was the offense of being able to sustain drives. Now, they did sustain some drives in that game, but I think that they had to take more risks on the Browns side because they realized the only way we're going to win this is if we create turnovers and create points with the defense. So they did take a lot more risks. You've seen guys rushing up the field, hoping for play action, and leaving wide open, gaping holes, hoping for play action, maybe a strip sack, fumble of some nature. But no, they just diced them up, and that's credit to Todd Monken because he had a pretty good scheme designed for them. And Watson's last game, I really want Watson to play this game. I really would like to back them. He led the week in air yards his last game he played. He had that connection going on with Amari Cooper. He could throw a deep ball just like Justin Fields could throw a deep ball. That's what they're known to be able to do. And I thought that they opened up the playbook to allow him to do that. I wish I could see more of that. But ultimately, I think that if Watson is playing this game and we're still seeing a 5, 6, 4.5, wherever it is, I'll probably end up on the Browns. It's time to sell this 49ers team. I think that this is the peak of the market going up against this defense. I think they might fall short to the performances they've had so far this season.
We're all waiting for that to happen. There's just no sign of it. There's no sign of it. Down to 4-1 to win the Super Bowl. When it opened at 7-1, I was like, I think I might be able to get a better line here earlier. It's amazing. 2 years ago, I had 66-1 mid-season with the 49ers, 33-1 to win the conference. That's when they lost to the Rams in the conference final. That was going to be like, career type, my biggest payday of my career. And, I don't want to get in the way of the 49ers. I respect those of you who are going to do that or try to do that. Do I want them in this situation? Remember that first game of the year last year in Chicago, inclement weather, but But that was Trey Lance at quarterback. I mean, the difference with Purdy and Lance, I mean, it's monstrous. And I can understand everybody. I mean, when you hear, Sammy and who was with Sammy? I saw someone with Sammy, but these guys on the Slatsy and Sammy on the first half Niners minus 2.5. I mean, that sounds to me like a very good bet, but I'm just not going to be late to the party. I'd rather just not even come to the party. Birdie says Schwartz has made his living stopping the run. Like the matchup here, we've seen the Shanahan offense go on the road and play low-scoring games, especially in weather. Joe says Browns held Tannehill on the road, Pickett at home, and hobbled Burrow week 1 on the road. Browns defense should have good stats. And Jared TG says Browns won't be able to run, so I think you'd have to believe in their passing offense. And, I'm not interested in getting a bad line on the Niners. I'm not interested in backing them after that dominant performance. And I'm not interested in getting in the way of them. I don't want to sit here and say, I'm going to fade them this week, which comes down to a spot. Then would I like to make a move on the total? And, if it keeps dropping and Deshaun Watson's announced out, I'll have some interest in it. I'll have some interest in the over. Then might be a first half over that would be more appealing just in case the Niners do get the lead and slow it all down. But at this point, nothing for me. Plus says Browns D is good. Too many points. To have the balls to be able to get in the way of the San Francisco 49ers, something I respect. It's just not something I can do with my own cash right now. Is there anything you want to make official here before we move on, Troy?
No, we can move.